Hey everyone, I wanted to give a quick overview of the Hasselblad 500CM and its corresponding system. So to start things off, wanted to tell you that Hasselblad is a Swedish company that uses Carl Zeiss lenses. Carl Zeiss is a German manufacturer, so these lenses will be made in Germany. Some of the older ones, like this one, will actually indicate that it was made in West Germany. Not that it makes a difference, or perhaps not to me at least. So, let's see. The first thing I want to talk about is the fact that the Hasselblad is indeed a type of SLR. Yes, it's medium format. So, we will be seeing negatives of 6x6 size, right? So 6 centimeters by 6 centimeters. They come in packages like this, and you may be more used to 35mm film, which come in a cartridge like this. Their resulting negatives are far smaller, as you can see, right? Compared to the massive 6x6 image here, which is why medium format can be greatly preferred for various purposes, or rather applications. Some of the common ones are in toy cameras, so you may be familiar with that. That uses the 120 format. But generally, when we think of SLRs, we think of a small camera. You got a lens, and you get to look through the lens to compose and take your photo, and that's because there's a prism inside. When you see a Hasselblad user, you may imagine someone that's looking down into the camera, and well, that's because there's a waist level viewfinder, really similar to kind of the twin lens reflex, like a Rolleiflex. But yeah, you'd be looking down instead of relying on a prism that really flips that image for you. But no need to worry, because the Hasselblad system includes various prisms. This one's a 45-degree without a meter, so you need to either get a spot meter, incident light meter, whatnot. Maybe even use your phone. We have applications for that. But this would be the waist level viewfinder that everyone's quite familiar with. I'm going to show you all these little parts and components and kind of explain them as I reassemble the camera. So first of all, you have the 500cm body here. Notice the mirror is cocked up, so to speak, in order to reflect the image into the focusing screen for you to look at. This is the focusing screen. You can replace it. I'm going to show you real quick how to do that. So you would just simply push the tabs aside, flip the body, and then now you have the screen here. To put it back, you just reverse the process. The good thing is you don't really need to worry about pushing the tabs in, because the ingenious design of the Hasselblad allows you to slide it onto the rails, like so, and once you push it to the end, it'll actually put those latches on the screen, so that guy's not going to move. I'm going to go ahead and start with putting the lens on. One thing you want to make sure when mounting the lens to the body is that the body is fully cocked. This one is right now because the mirror is down, which, like I said, is in the cocked position. So go ahead and find a coin if your lens is not cocked. As you can see, the blades are closed. And you want to insert it in this little notch here and turn it until the blades are open. So I'm going to go ahead and do that on the side. See the difference? The blades are cocked. So now I can go ahead and mount the lens to the body. So this is not too different from anything else. You heard that click? That was nice. Okay, so let's put the back on. Remember, if you had just swapped this waist level finder for a prism, you want to make sure you do that before you put the back on, because once you put the back on, you're not going to be able to slide this unit out. For simplicity's sake, I'm going to go ahead and stick with the waist level finder. So I'll put that prism aside. Waist level finder is on. And here we have the magazine. There are plenty of videos on YouTube showing you how to load the magazine, so I'm not going to go into detail on that. But generally, you would have it pre-wound and cocked, so it would have a white dot showing. And there's a white dot on the camera, meaning that once it's paired together, it's ready to take a shot. So line these notches up to the body, on the bottom, and instead of pushing it on, you want to hold that latch and then gently ease it in and make sure that magazine is secure. So in this case, it is, and it's ready to go. Now to take a photo, the first thing we want to do is, well, the first thing I like to do is actually remove the dark slide. This is what prevents light from leaking into the magazine when you're swapping it. And the camera system is so ingenious that if you have the dark slide in, you actually cannot remove the back. I mean, you could probably force it off, but you essentially break the camera. So once the dark slide is removed, you're allowed by the camera, so to speak, to take or expose your photo. The shutter mechanism is built into each lens, which is fairly interesting. It's a leaf design, but because the mirror is so big, the 500CM will offer you a mirror lockup mechanism. So what happens is, while I'm looking down, composing my shot, once I have decided on what I want to take a picture of and everything's in focus, I can go ahead and push this up. If you just heard that sound, that's because the mirror is now up. If you look carefully, you'll notice that the mirror is just beneath the focusing screen here. Okay, I'm going to actually, normally I would still have this up, I don't know why, but I'm going to put it down so it's a little easier to see things. So right now we can pretend the image has been focused, and perhaps I do want to look at shutter speeds and aperture. So in order to set that, you have this front ring here, right? So as you turn, you'll notice that there are the two orange lines that kind of move around. That's actually where the depth of field is going to be as far as the aperture that you will be on. So this lens is 150 millimeters, so it's a nice long lens, equivalent to about 80 millimeters on our standard 35 millimeter format, so full frame, so to speak. And it's not extremely fast. It's an older lens, Sonor design. Yeah, 4 is the fastest, so we're gonna have to work with that. So say my perfect exposure, given my film speed, will be at f4 and 250th of a second. Okay, so in order to set that shutter speed, I will need to push down on this tab, pull down, and then rotate the top ring. Likewise, I can hold down the tab and turn it in order to set the aperture. Right? Does that make sense? Exposure values can be worked with, but that's what's here. So right now we're like 6, 7. So it allows you to play with your aperture, but maintain the same exposure value, which is, I personally think, is a very handy feature. So now that we have all our settings taken care of, the mirror is locked up. I can go ahead and take the photo. So I would hold the camera like this in my left hand and focus with my right. Once that is done, I can go ahead and release the shutter. Generally, you don't have to lock up the mirror to take the shot, but I would recommend it in situations where you either don't want the loud noise of the mirror going up and down, or you don't want the camera to shake because you're holding it. The mirror is huge, so you're not going to get awesome handheld shots at a slower speed, you're going to need to rely on a tripod. And generally, you would flip this out, give that a crank, be able to see and compose the image. If you need to look close up with the waist level finder, you'll notice that there's a little tab here. You slide that to the right, and the magnifier will pop up, allowing you to put your eye right up against the finder and really take a good look at whether or not your image is in fact correctly focused. To put that away, just push that back down. And you could also take the shot without using the mirror lockup. So in this case, I would go ahead and release and take the shot. Notice, I did want to point out one thing that I failed to mention. If you're taking well, in general, I would hold the shutter down longer. That's because the back doors close as soon as you let go. So in my case, I'm shooting at 1 second. Had I pressed it and let go immediately, the shutter is actually still open, but I closed it back. So I effectively reduced the shutter time. So that would have come out poorly, the image. So what you want to do is go ahead and depress the shutter button and hold it until you hear that the shutter, the leaf shutter, has finished exposing the image. Then you can go ahead and release that to let those doors back up. You can go ahead and fold the finder away. If you want to remove the back, just slide the dark slide in. Be careful not to lose this, you don't want to lose that. And that is really it. You can go ahead and disassemble that if necessary. There are plenty of videos showing you how to do that. But thank you for watching the video, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. Thanks. Bye.